Hi guys. Anyway, I'm home today, but that doesn't mean you don't get to work. So I am going to talk to you today about dividing decimals. So I'm going to split it into two parts. The first part is going to be dividing by decimals of 10 or fractions of 10, and the second part is going to be the dividing by decimals properly. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna switch to Notability to show you a couple of examples, and then you've got work attached that you need to do, and I'll show the answers later so you can check. I don't want to get flooded with people's work and stuff, so I haven't got time to mark everyone. Anyway, I'm gonna switch to Notability, and I'll see you later. Bye. Okay, guys. So the first part that we're going to look at is dividing by fractions of 10. And by fractions of 10, what I mean is things like 0.1, 0.01, 0.001, and things like that. So you know what I'm getting at with this. Okay, so let's say I have to divide 24 divided by 0.1. I'm going to show you two methods, and you can choose whichever one you want, okay? The first method is the reciprocal method. And this you're going to remember back to September, October, whenever we did this, although we covered it in lesson last Friday. So with the use of the reciprocal, I can change a division into a multiplication. And the reciprocal of a number is whichever number you have to multiply in order to get 1. So the reciprocal of 0.1 is going to be whatever number I need in order to get as an answer 1. So the reciprocal of 0.1 is 10. So in order to do 24 divided by 0.1, I can do 24 multiplied by the reciprocal of 0.1, which is 10. And the answer is 240. There you go. Simple enough, easy enough. The reciprocal method, quite easy. Another example could be 3.6 divided by 0.01. So using the reciprocal method, I change the division into a multiplication by the reciprocal of 0.01, which you need to know is 100. So 3.6 multiplied by 100 is 360. So that is the reciprocal method for dividing by fractions of 10. All right. Now, we could do the same examples. 24 divided by 0.1, and the other example was 3.6 divided by 0.01, and I'm going to use the equivalent fraction method. Remember, we've talked about many times that a fraction and a division are pretty much the same thing. That's why the division sign looks like a fraction. So I could write 24 divided by 0.1 as 24 over 0.1. And that's a fraction, but it's an ugly fraction because it's got a decimal in the denominator, and we don't like that. Who's ever seen a fraction with decimals? That looks ugly. So I'm going to find an equivalent fraction to the first one that doesn't have decimals. So an equivalent fraction, I can just multiply numerator and denominator by 10. So I get a 1 there, and I get 240 here, because I multiply numerator and denominator by the same thing. So 240 over 1 is just 240. So 24 divided by 0.1 is 240. So that's a different method to divide 24 by 0.1. So you can either use the reciprocal method or the equivalent fraction method. And with the question below is the same thing. I've got 3.6 divided by 0.01. Now here, I've got decimals both in the numerator and the denominator. you don't have to worry about the numerator. What you want to do, the aim of the game here, is to get rid of the decimals in the denominator. I want to end up with a 1 there. So how do I go from 0.01 to 1? Well, some of you may have figured out that all I have to do is multiply by 100, not 106, 100. So the numerator, I'm going to do the same thing, multiply by 100, which gives me 360. And 360 over 1 is 360, which is the same answer we had before. So there you have it. Either reciprocal method or equivalent fraction method when dividing by decimals of 10 or fractions of 10, so 0.1, 0.01, 0.001, works. Either one, whichever one you prefer to do, that is fine, that's okay. Okay, and now we're going to divide decimals properly. So 67.8 divided by 1.2. Now in this case here, we can't really use the reciprocal method. I mean, we could, but it would be too convoluted and too complicated. So what you saw before, the equivalent fraction method is the best way to do it. It's the best thing. So in order to divide 67.8 by 1.2, all I'm going to do is write the equivalent fraction to this division. So 67.8 divided by 1.2. And I'm going to find an equivalent fraction that does not have decimals in the denominator. That's the important thing. No decimals in the denominator. The numerator does not matter. We don't care about the numerator. Whether there are decimals in there or not, that's not a problem. What we need to worry about is getting rid of the decimals in the denominator. So I'm going to find an equivalent fraction to this one where I get rid of the decimals in the denominator. Now the easiest thing, there's other numbers you can multiply by, but the easiest thing is to multiply by powers of 10. So 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000, 100, whatever it is. So if I got 1.2, I've only got one decimal, so all I need to do is multiply that by 10. So whatever I do to the denominator, I'm going to do to the numerator. So I'm going to multiply that by 10 as well. Not 16, 10. So I end up with 678 divided by 12. And that's a division that we should be able to do. So you're just going to divide those two numbers. So take your mind back to 678 over divided by 12. And if you remember how to divide, okay, you need to start. 6 divided by 12. Can I divide 6 by 12? No. So I'm going to put a 0 there and then look at 67. Can I divide 67 by 12? Indeed I can. So how many 12s go into 67? Well, the answer is 5, because 5 12s is 60, with a remainder of 7, because from 60 to 67, I've got a remainder of 7, which I'm going to write there, little number. And then is 78 divided by 12. So how many 12s go into 78? And the answer is 6, because 12 times 6 is 72. 72 all the way to 78, I got a remainder of 6. So remainder 6, I'm going to write it there. Okay, I've got that remainder 6. What am I going to do now? Well, this is where the magic happens. So we finished dividing 678 by 12. The answer is 56, remainder 6. But I cannot write remainder 6. I need to turn the remainder 6 into the decimal part. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put a decimal point there, and kind of as if by magic, I can put a 0 there. Because we're going into the decimals. So can you just put a 0 there, and then what is 60 divided by 12? Or how many 12s go into 60? The answer is 5, isn't it? 12 times 5 is 60, remainder 0. And because I got remainder 0, there you go, I finished dividing. So 67.8 divided by 1.2, the answer is 56.5. And that is how you divide decimals. You write them as equivalent fractions. You multiply numerator and denominator by a power of 10 in a way that you get rid of the decimals in the denominator, and then you do the corresponding division. You may end up going into decimals, so this takes practice. You're going to have to do a few of them. So copy the example out nice and carefully, watch, rewind the video as many times as you need, and we'll take it from there. All right.